Hello, today we are going to download, install and run the KDE Plasma versions of Ubuntu and Fedora Linux, the releases which will come out this month, October 2024. I've searched on Google Ubuntu KDE and Fedora Linux KDE. For Fedora Linux KDE it went to the correct place, which is this page, whereas Ubuntu and KDE totally doesn't go to the correct page, which is the Kubuntu web page. It does show the results for the Kubuntu Wikipedia page, but not the Kubuntu official web page. Which would be this page, kubuntu.org. Let's download the two ISOs. So Kubuntu 24.10 and Fedora KDE Plasma Desktop 41. I will use the virtualization software Virt Manager. Let's install it. So this uses QEMU and KVM. I'm on Kubuntu 24.10 as the host operating system. The installation has finished. Just in case, I will reboot my computer because at least 100 deb packages have been installed. The computer has restarted. Let's create the two virtual machines. We're going to work side by side. The left half of the screen will be Kubuntu 24.10. The right half of the screen will be Fedora KDE 41. So Kubuntu on the left. Let's give them almost 10 gigabytes of random access memory and 8 CPU threads. Let's make this 200 gigabytes of virtual hard disk. Okay, so the version of the configurations of the virtual machine are using the template that we have just selected in Virt Manager, which is Ubuntu 24.10, which is one of the modern Linux virtual machine templates. That means it's using BIOS, it's using the newest chipset. Let's fix the CPU topology. I'm not sure this is actually required for Linux operating systems, but for other operating systems, this actually does make a difference. I only have one CPU socket, so only one hardware CPU. Virtio, which is the fastest hard disk bus possible. SATA CD-ROM, which is better than IDE. And the best possible network interface card, which is Virtio. And tablet, in order for the virtual machine not to grab the mouse. So the only change that we actually did was this one, to change the CPU topology to have just one CPU socket. So this is the boot screen. It's booting from the ISO, which is it's booting from the DVD drive. 30 seconds timeout. Let's go with try or install Kubuntu. and we'll create the other virtual machine. Fedora, Linux 40. Forward. So many of the templates for virtual machines that you see in there in that combo box are actually creating an identical virtual machine. It does not matter if you select Kubuntu 24.10 or Fedora 40, the generated virtual machine will be absolutely identical. BIOS Q35, the newest motherboard. I'm just going to change the topology again. And the rest of the settings will remain unchanged. Begin installation. Similar bootloader. They're both using grub. Test this media and start. The test is really fast. It tests that the CD-ROM drive, the ISO file, is not corrupt. So it does make sense to both test the ISO and then to start the actual installer. On the left hand side we have Kubuntu. This is I'm not sure exactly what. Maybe it's the Calamares graphical user interface installer wizard. In here it's booted into a live CD mode. And we have this button on the desktop, which we're going to double click or click and then enter. Press the enter key. Okay, so let's go with English and English, and we're going to install. This is indeed Calamares. So it shows the language in Fedora 41. Continue. I want to proceed. It's a virtual machine. Doesn't matter if the Fedora 41 was released or not. Let's see where we are. American English. We need to see the buttons. Next. New York. Let's fix that. Okay, where is the button? At the top left, done. Okay, so we have English US everything, keyboard, time zone. Okay. It's asking us for the software selection. I would not go with a minimal installation because there was, for instance, the issue where not even the Kubuntu artwork and the Kubuntu branding was installed with minimal installation. So I would go with normal installation, and then I'm going to uninstall the software that I don't need manually. You can start from the KDE Plasma start menu, find the application that you don't want, right click on it and uninstall it using the KDE Discover application store. Okay. What else? We don't want additional applications. We know how to install them from the command line using apt space install. This is Virt Manager. I do not use these two applications. I do not need anything else. I do not want to install updates. And next. And we're at the partitions and hard disks. So it says that we've booted in BIOS mode, not in UEFI mode, which is the better supported mode in QEMU, Virt Manager, KVM, etc. That's why we went with the older BIOS, not UEFI. Okay, so we want to erase the disk and use a swap inside of a file in the /root directory. The ext4 file system and use the entire disk. Let's do something similar in here. So it says automatic. Automatic means BTRFS. I usually change from BTRFS to ext4, but this time let's leave it as is to have an experience which is as vanilla as possible. Encrypt never. Free up disk by removing or shrinking existing partitions. I don't really like to not see what's happening. Let's look at this button. Selected disks and bootloader. I'm not sure what's going to do. Okay, then we'll do these two extra steps. So we want a user to be created, administrator, and don't log in without a password, which is a default option. This one requires a password to use this account. This password is too short. We need to press done twice. So once and twice. And then the root account is disabled in the sense that the user root does not have a password. And that's a good default to have. Okay, we don't want to encrypt in Kubuntu. Let's go next. The same thing, administrator. In here, we'll use the correct name. Unfortunately, the virtual machine has the wrong name, Ubuntu 24.10, not Kubuntu 24.10. I like to have the same name in the computer name and in the virtual machine name. Password. I do not want to log in without a password, so the exact same settings. And we're preparing to start the installation. Begin installation here, install here. The Kubuntu installer is showing a number of features which exist in the Kubuntu operating system as a slideshow. The Fedora 41 KDE installer is showing a progress bar. And we also have more detailed information in the Kubuntu installer by pressing the toggle log button. Calamares, the installer framework. So installer in the sense that an ISO installer for a Linux operating system. Casper, Squash FS. rsync. Okay, so we'll be back once the installation finishes in both virtual machines. It seems that Kubuntu has finished. Fedora is at 90% installing software. So they're pretty close. The Kubuntu installer was around 90 seconds faster, so 1.5 minutes faster. We are asked to reboot the computers in order to finish the installation. So the computer is currently running from the ISO DVD drive. So we want the computer to boot from the virtual hard disk. And in here, we need to remember to actually reboot the computer. We're in the Fedora 41 KDE live session. And in order to actually boot from the virtual hard disk, we'll need to reboot the KDE Plasma 6 session. In here it says previously remove the installation medium, then press enter. This is done automatically by the virtualization software word manager. What's happening? Okay, so the two virtual machines are rebooting, and the SDDM desktop manager is being loaded. There's the user that we have created here in the install administrator available in both virtual machines. The layout is similar. Let's see, where is the Wayland picker? So maybe because the X11 session is not installed by default, this picker between desktop management sessions is not available in Fedora 41 KDE, but then I'm not sure why the button for the virtual keyboard is not in the exact same place as in Kubuntu 24.10. Okay, let's log in for the first time in KDE Plasma 6. The KDE Plasma Welcome Center is shown by default. There's a bit of branding on the first page with a different URL and different icon, versus on Kubuntu it's showing the vanilla KDE upstream experience. There's some bug in here where it doesn't show the correct cursor, mouse cursor, so it should be hand in here, whereas in here is correct. That's why I clicked a million of times on this icon. But finally it did the correct thing, which is start the default web browser in the operating system, which is Firefox, Mozilla Firefox in both operating systems. Kubuntu 24.10 is using the Ubuntu 24.10 standard Firefox web browser, which means it's using the Snap version. Fedora KDE is showing this interesting toolbar that I have never found a need for. Otherwise, the experience is similar. The KDE Plasma Queen title bar is not shown by default. The mouse cursor is different in the Snap version. So although in KDE Plasma the mouse cursor is black, in the web browser the mouse cursor is white because of Snap integration issues. So this is just a landing page, one which can not churn this fast. So it says that it was created in 2021 and it has some news about 2022. But it's just a landing page which immediately takes you to the correct place, which is the Fedora KDE homepage. Okay, let's see what's next. The theming of the title bar I can see is different. So the Mozilla Firefox title bar, the window title bar uses buttons similar to the KDE theme. Not really, but somewhat similar. Let's see what's the difference between them. So the minimize button is at the wrong place. It's some pixels lower, but it has a similar icon for the minimize button. For the restore button, it's a similar button. I'm not sure if the size of the icons is identical in Dolphin versus the Firefox window. It seems that the icons in the Firefox window are a bit smaller, but I did not measure this thing. Also, the color of the icons is a bit different. The color of the background in the hover, so this is almost red, this is very dark red. But fit slow works. The close button will be pressed if you click on the topmost right pixel on the window. Oh. Okay. It does not show hover tooltips when the application is not the current active window. So now Firefox is the active window. If I hover on top of the minimize button of Dolphin, it will show a tooltip. If I activate the Dolphin window and I hover on top of the minimize button in Firefox, it's not going to show a tooltip. And the icons for minimize, restore, maximize are grayed out, which is not the case for KDE applications. So Fedora uses the default way in which the Mozilla Firefox application wants to style its window. and Mozilla Firefox is trying to blend into the KDE Plasma 6 desktop. But there are some subtleties which can be spotted. More show menu bar with all icons, all actions. The theming is different for the main menus. Similar but different. Let's continue with the installation, the Welcome Center. Let's first see if we've booted into Wayland or X11. Open the system settings. Scroll to the end of the list and about this system. And both are using Wayland. The kernel version, Linux kernel, is 6.11. And the Qt version is 6.6.2 versus 6.7.2. So the current version of Qt is 6.8.0. And it's okay if the versions present in these two virtual machines is a bit older, because these are not actually rolling release Linux operating systems. Fedora Linux has periodic releases, and that's the same thing with Ubuntu. But I'm very happy that Qt 6.6 has made it into Kubuntu 24, and that KDE Plasma 6 and KDE Framework 6 and KDE Applications 6 have made it into Kubuntu 24.10. Info Center. The application refuses to use just half of the screen. Maybe it has a minimum specified width. I'm not exactly sure. In the Fedora KDE virtual machine, the width of the resolution of the screen, the width is a bit larger, so maybe that's why the application info center accepts this width, but not half of the width of this monitor. The application system monitor is started automatically, but you need to wait 2 seconds for the application to actually start. If not, there's this relaunch system monitor button. I'm not sure why I cannot see all of the text by default and I need to scroll left and right. Does not make sense to me. So this is the system monitor application, which uses fancy graphs and pie charts, and it's written in QML and has a way of editing the dashboard, and replaces the previous cases guard application, which was probably Qt widgets application. I'm not exactly sure what applications mean. It's
some special processes which have graphical user interface might be applications, and applications which are multi-process, such as Firefox, are maybe shown just once, not the entire list of processes that make this application, like the isolated web rendering things. Like all of these processes are part of the same application, which is this one. This is probably running a command line application, and it's taking the standard output and displaying it into a text read-only viewer. This is probably the output of lsblk, because we're using snaps. The at least the Mozilla Firefox snap. We're going to have additional lines into the output of the command line mount and into the output of lsblk. In here we have line wrap enabled by default, which means we do not need to scroll left and right. This is something that I prefer, but other people cannot really understand easily. UEFI firmware cannot be updated in legacy BIOS mode. Not a problem, it's a virtual machine. We don't need to actually install software into the BIOS or UEFI. That's the business of the package manager from the Linux operating system to do that. That's running inside the virtual machine. Memory. What is this? So maybe because the DMID code command line application exists, it's showing an extra item under devices called memory, which is not available in Kubuntu 24.10. I'm going to guess. Whereas in here, if the smart device tools are not installed on the system, the node is still available, this one, smart tools, smart status. QEMU USB tablet. It should use software rendering for everything, not use any 3D hardware. None of the virtual machines should use 3D hardware. So similar installations into the virtual machines. There's different versions of the Qt framework, different versions of the KDE software. and even the Xorg version is different. Fedora tries to have newer software available much faster than the Debian family of Linux operating systems. Even after the release of a Fedora Linux version, they still will push RPM updates with newer, Qt versions, KDE versions, etc. Whereas the Debian family of Linux operating systems, at the moment you do the release, that's the moment where the version of the Qt framework is decided, the version of the KDE software is decided, and then the next deb updates will mostly be just security updates, not new versions of software. Let's see if it tries to sleep or to, shut down the computer after a while. After a period of inactivity, it does nothing. Okay. I'm not sure what this thing is. Maybe settings for the KDE Plasma Discover, which is the App Store, which is this thing. It's interesting that the list of most popular is different between the two instances of the Discover App Store. How could it be this difference? Color Paint is using a different icon. Maybe they have changed it in the newer version of KDE software that's available in Fedora KDE. Let's see the updates which are available. In here it says Firefox, so it's that means that the Discover App Store has the Snap backend installed by default and enabled by default, because Firefox is actually a Snap package, not a deb package. I'm not sure what's doing in here. The icons have become monochrome, what we call symbolic, whereas previously they were colorful. In the left-hand tree view list view. Let's try to uninstall some software. We went with Internet, Thunderbird Mail, right-click, uninstall or manage add-ons. The KDE App Store will start. Let's uninstall this thing. Kmail. Right-click, uninstall. So it refused to uninstall Thunderbird Mail, and then it refused NeoChat, and then it accepted KRDC, but then now it's trying to uninstall NeoChat. Let's see what's happening here. Right-click on NeoChat, uninstall or manage add-ons. And now it works. Okay, so I'm not sure in here why it's not showing the first screenshot. And the second screenshot is incorrect. I'm not sure why the list of screenshots is not perfectly identical between these two versions of the Discover application. There's 4 screenshots, but in a different order. This one is this one. And this one does not exist. And now they have downloaded. So it's a caching issue or a server that's too slow. Okay, different texts, different everything. The KDE community versus KDE. I'm not sure why this is green, this is blue. Probably the upstream XML file has changed from this version of NeoChat 23.8.5 and this version of NeoChat 24.08.1. And 23.8 is Qt 5 and this is Qt 6. I don't know. Let's actually run these applications. How do we get to the About screen? Let's go to the console. So dpackage -l new chat. So that's correct. It uses KDE framework version 5. So maybe not all of the KDE software is using the Qt 6 version of that KDE software. Some of the deb packages have either not been updated to Qt 6 in upstream Debian and Ubuntu, or it wasn't available in Debian in time for Ubuntu 24.10 release branching. Okay, let's try to uninstall the software. We go remove. It's going to remove the not needed dependencies, so similar to apt auto remove. in the case of Fedora. That's an interesting choice. Okay, and now it should not be available in the start menu. And now when we want to install it, we have a choice between Snap and Ubuntu dev packages, or the official Ubuntu 24.10 repositories, versus Fedora Linux official RPM repositories and Fedora Flatpaks. Let's enable the Flat Hub and install from there a package. How do we do that? Settings, this thing. Settings, and we only have Snap, and we're missing the backend for Flatpak, this guy. And we don't want Fedora Flatpaks. And we want Flat Hub. And we don't want Snap on Fedora. Not sure what it expects. Does it want me to restart the application? No, so it says central repository of Flatpak applications, dl.flathub.org, the only Flatpak remote that's enabled. Settings. Flatpak. So there's a new group box in here, and we're going to add FlatHub. Okay, so now the settings should be similar. We have the group box for the official binary packages remote repository from the Linux distribution. So Fedora 41 versus Ubuntu 24.10. And then there's the firmware updates. We don't really look at these. And then we look at Flatpak. And we have in there just one remote central repository of Flatpak applications, dl.flathub.org. Okay, now let's install something from FlatHub. Let's see if NeoChat is there. This is just searching inside of this page, so we need to go to, I know, here maybe. Okay. If I click on this button, I'm not sure what's going to do. So let's go to the page of the application. We're going to search central repository of Flatpak applications. This guy. And now the same version is available, the same title, subtitle. Hopefully the same screenshots. Yes. The same description and title and body. apps.kde.org/neochat, correct? Correct. Okay, let's actually install it. In here we should have the progress. I would like a verbose progress with the actual text from the Flatpak command line that's being run in the background, or the equivalent API library. I'm not sure what's doing on Fedora. Let's actually restart the machine. Let's see if launching works. Does it work? I clicked on the launch button. Nothing happened yet. It should run, I know, Flatpak, org.kde.neochat, etc. Neochat, and then you need to press enter, and then I'm not sure, you need to select all applications in here. It did not remember the fact that I want FlatHub. And launch. What launch? Which of the Neo chats did I install? Hopefully I've installed from FlatHub. Okay, launch. No, let's restart this operating system also. I don't know how to use the application NeoChat. So let's try something else. Let's try Inkscape. Yeah, it maybe doesn't show the progress, but the application gets installed because if I probably restart Discover, it will say that I can run it. I did not press enter. And now it finished installing, so maybe the progress doesn't work as well as it should. The new feature in KDE Plasma where you can increase the size of the mouse cursor if you keep flicking it left, right. Okay, so it should be under, I know, graphics. Here it is. And the same thing here. Vector graphics editor. Different subtitle. should be this one. Okay, let's launch. How do we do this? Document resources. Document properties. Let's make it landscape, not portrait. Let's put some text in there. Not mono. Where is noto mono? There is no noto mono. And let's change the color. Okay, so the application works correctly. Close without saving. Okay, so the KDE software is relatively up to date. The KDE Discover App Store is a relatively new version. It allows you to uninstall applications straight from the KDE Start menu. You just right click on an application which you do not want, go install, uninstall and manage add-ons, and then click on the remove button. This is a fast way to remove unwanted applications. I'm not sure why the application requests elevation more than once during the lifetime of the Discover application process. Let's see what else we can remove from here. And now it asks again. So it should ask just once. Maybe this is an old issue and has been fixed meanwhile. During the lifetime of the application's main window, it should ask for the password just once. It's enough. The password being the password of the current user, which has sudo powers. How do we make the default backend? Let's see. Make Flatpak default. Like this. And now if I search for an application, it will install it from FlatHub by default. Great. The welcome screen can be started at any moment. By default, it's shown just once when you when you log in the first time as into the KDE Plasma session. And maybe once a year in order to ask for that you contribute monetarily to the KDE project. Extremely feature rich. Wow. That sounds like a loaded thing. Supercharge your productivity. Oh. Business talk. Does it say that meta is actually the Windows key? It doesn't. So how would I know what meta plus W means? Next, let's bump this to the maximum. Penultimate wizard page on the Welcome Center. It's heavily customized by the two Linux distributions. Fedora strongly believes in and promotes free and open source software. However, proprietary software can be made available. Click this button to make it possible to install a number of proprietary games, applications, and graphics drivers. See which repositories will be added. Let's see that. FlatHub filtered. Not the case because we're on Fedora 41. Everything from flathub.org for Fedora 38. Great decision. Google Chrome. Wow. PyCharm. Okay. Steam and the NVIDIA graphics driver, but not the rest of the RPM Fusion. So under Fedora, some of the video codecs are missing, some of the audio codecs are missing, and that means that probably the applications which actually provide these things, such as VLC, libVLC, FFmpeg, GStreamer, etc., by default do not include these patent encumbered audio and video codecs which Fedora cannot ship by default. And the solution is almost always to use RPM Fusion. Or maybe to use the application straight from FlatHub if all of the audio video codecs are enabled in the application that's shipped with FlatHub. And if you don't need libraries, such as FFmpeg and GStreamer, the complete versions of those. Please donate today. Let's see what that does. I'm not sure if KDE still exists. I guess no. I'm not sure. So this KDE thing and donating to Kubuntu is not straightforward. View the feature tour. Wrong screenshots with the wrong window decoration. Are these buttons? Can I click on these? I'm not sure. I'm clicking here and nothing seems to happen. Open image in your tab. These are probably icons, I'm guessing, not hyperlinks. I should probably jump to the correct link inside of this page. LibreOffice is compatible with all Office applications, including Microsoft Office. What are you trying to say in here? LibreOffice is compatible with all Office applications, including Microsoft Office. How can you be compatible with all of the Office software everywhere, like, you know, Abbey Word and whatever other small niche Office applications that exist? Okay, next up. Next. So this is the button, and this is the documentation for the button, especially the first link. Good move, really good move on part of Fedora 41. We hope you love the Plasma. Okay, so this is the final page. KDE forums. Make a donation and get involved. So get involved is the wiki page, and the donation, there's the special /donate page on kde.org. Finish. Great. Let's see what applications are installed by default. Again, these colorful icons in the left-hand side list view, whereas in here there's symbolic icons, black and white, monochrome. The fact that this list needs to be scrolled is not that great. You want to go to favorites, you move the mouse, it jumps to utilities, and now you cannot get to favorites anymore. I'm not sure why it scrolls when you just move the mouse without wanting to scroll. Okay, so let's look at all applications. Aggregator is in RSS tool, arc for zip files. Discover the App Store, Dolphin the file manager, Dragon player, video player, Elisa. The ISO writing tool to USB. FileLite is actually hand in hand with the Dolphin file manager, so it should be installed by default. Where is the button? I'm not sure. There's a button in here which shows the free space on the current directory. This button. So bottom right button on the status bar. So I'm inside public and I click here and it says that this important functionality of Dolphin is not provided by default because you don't have the package FileLite installed by default. But fortunately on this Linux operating system, the App Store KDE Plasma Discover actually works as opposed to other operating systems such as, I don't know, the Arch family. And this means that we can easily install it by just clicking inside Dolphin. And now it should be available. Let's see what the button actually does. Current device. What did I do? Click here and current device. And it's just showing the home directory of administrators, so /home/ or the entire /home. Whereas this one shows the slash. So in here there's two partitions probably. One for, I don't know, let's actually see. So there's just one partition, /, no need for a /boot /EFI for the UEFI variables because we booted in BIOS mode. Whereas in here, it's probably using BTRFS and that's a complicated story. There's a /boot partition and the largest partition is for /home and for / and this is probably BTRFS. And this is probably, I know, FAT32. So this is not actually showing me the VDA3. It's not actually showing me this because this also contains /. It's showing me just /home from VDA3. I cannot see the / anywhere. It says 315 megabytes. Okay, maybe the application FileLite has support for BTRFS, or maybe that's the way BTRFS works. Different icon for app. it's probably using KDE Kirigami library for graphical user interface. And this is version Qt 5. Whereas this is version Qt 6. So another application which is not using Qt 6, another KDE application that's shipped by Kubuntu 24.10 and is not using Qt 6 yet. The other one was NeoChat. The main KDE Plasma toolbar, which is this task manager here, the taskbar, is floating by default when no application is maximized, which is an upstream setting from the KDE Plasma, whereas in Kubuntu, the main panel is not floating. So that would be, how do we do that? Show panel configuration, and this instant apply radio button. Branding for the KDE Plasma start menu for the button. This is monochrome symbolic branding. This is colorful branding. The size of the images is different. The Fedora one is not as large as and as tall as the Kubuntu one. But it's more similar with the size of the default button. So system settings, discover, and dolphin. Whereas the Kubuntu icon is a bit taller than the system settings icon. Firewall graphical user interface management tool, the image viewer, the help application, we saw Info Center and Inkscape. I'm not sure what this thing is. This is iBus probably, and this is FC ITX, that thing. FC ITX 5. So different choice for input management for Japanese, Chinese, Korean characters, at least. Okay, we're at letter K, where there should be a ton of KDE applications. KCalc, the desktop calculator. This should be pre-installed by default because on many keyboards there's a dedicated calculator button. On my keyboard that's FN F3. KDE partition manager for creating hard disk partitions. How do we make this thing not disappear? Some games. Conversation on IRC channel should be or not installed. It depends if the official support channel for Kubuntu is IRC or Matrix or something else. And as far as I remember, it's not Matrix. Color Paint, the application that's similar to MS Paint on Windows. Console, the terminal, I cannot really survive in the Linux operating system without a terminal. Should be at least as good as Xterm. Console is way better. Contact, this is part of the KDE personal information management. So there's a suite of applications for reading emails, for organizing email contacts, for calendaring, etc. So contact, key organizer, KDNF. And I have just uninstalled Kmail. KRDC is a remote desktop protocol viewer and a VNC viewer. Whereas these two are the server parts. So this is the client app and this is the server. I prefer Kate, but I understand why Fedora does not install Kate, installs kwrite instead, because maybe the vast majority of people which actually have Fedora installed and install Fedora, maybe they do not know how to install Fedora. These people might use and appreciate the simpler graphical user interface of kwrite versus Kate. How do we get rid of this thing? Okay, so this versus this. The content is actually identical. This text editor graphical user interface control. But the rest, the Chrome of the application is a bit different. The menus are simplified. There's no left-hand sidebar, no bottom tool windows, no plugins. No language server protocol, client server. The menus are a bit more simple, but certainly very beefy. Also in kwrite, the main menus are very beefy. I usually immediately uninstall kwrite and install Kate because I use Kate a lot. LibreOffice I usually do not need. When I actually need it, I'm going to install it, use it, and then uninstall it. So it's not staying forever installed on my computers. Menu editor, very important application, which is this thing, right click, edit applications. Sometimes you need, the only way to survive is by editing something in here. For instance, if you have, I know, some hardware which forces you to edit the command line of an application. Like maybe, I know, Firefox refuses to start if you don't put additional command line parameters, which would be in here. Or maybe you're installing a Wine application, you uninstall Wine, but the application continues to exist in the KDE Plasma start menu. The only way to actually remove it is to go right click, edit applications, and then find the offending application and actually delete it, which is this button. This is the Matrix client. It's important because the KDE community uses 100 of Matrix channels. The default support channels for end users are the KDE Matrix room, and then there's the KDE forum. PDF viewer, scanner client application, screenshot application, system monitor we saw previously, system settings, and then welcome center. Let me do the changes that I usually do. So edge, screen edges, do nothing. Where are you? Like this, make this 15%. Apply. What else? The mouse, cursors. The default theme is Breeze and black color. And I want the size to be larger than 24. Not actually because I cannot see. This is the way I got used to. So at least 36. It doesn't bother me at all, and I find it helpful. And the last one would be the fonts. Let's make the font as Microsofty as possible. So that means subpixel rendering RGB, which is the default layout for the three colors, red, green, blue parts of a pixel. And hinting will go for the best possible. Fonts, it's using Noto Sans everywhere. The fixed is heck. I'm not sure exactly what are the upstream KDE Plasma default settings. Neither for the font size nor for the fonts that are used in these categories. Noto Sans 10 points, and this is Noto Sans 9 points. It's the default font sizes in KDE Plasma are certainly larger than the default font sizes in Windows. And that makes it such that a ton of space is not used. It's just fonts instead of the actual content of an application. But larger fonts make sense for persons which don't have the best eyesight possible. Okay. If these are the default wallpapers from the upstream, this is probably not. It's in Fedora colors. What did I just do? Let's look at the wallpapers. How do we find the currently default wallpaper? Why isn't the default wallpaper pre-selected? maybe it's not an image. How does it look like? Some balloons in clouds. Okay, and this is the tree and sun. Which is probably Scarlet tree, and it's not being shown in here. It's this one, but then they're not alphabetically ordered. Why wouldn't they be in alphabetical order? Who would be helped by the fact that they're not sorted alphabetically? They should be sorted like the first most important 10 should be in a group box where it should say, I know, favorites or something, and then the rest should be alphabetically ordered. So I'm guessing this is the one, Scarlet tree, which is the default in Kubuntu. And I don't know what's default on Fedora. Okay. But in general, what I saw up until now is very convincing. Everything seems to work correctly. There's a bit of extra space in here compared to here. I didn't see any crashes. I could install software even graphically using the Discover application. I usually install applications from the command line because historically installing applications in the graphical user interface did not actually work great for me. And then if I install applications from the command line, I actually see what's happening, from which remote repository, what's being downloaded, and I can approve or cancel the action. So it totally makes sense for me to always install everything from the command line, or not from web, not from app stores, graphical user interface apps. Everything looks and behaves great. And I've been waiting for KDE Plasma and KDE applications that use Qt6 to enter Kubuntu since forever. Thank you.